All right, guys. Our next speaker here is somebody we should all be thankful to have here in Indianapolis. He's been instrumental in keeping Bike Party alive over the years.
Bike Party!
Yeah, you're not supposed to know that. But he's also just a great human. You get to know him. Good-hearted dude. Will help you out with anything he can, lend a hand on. So get to know Jim here. Say hi to him and introduce yourself after tonight if you can. He's going to be talking to us about a race. So Jim, if you'd like to take it over from there. Thank you.
So I've been riding bikes forever. Ride a lot of bikes. I usually don't drive unless I'm leaving the city. So, but I never really raced until about 2 years ago. I got into it, and this was kind of like a big race that I was working towards. I jumped right into the endurance races, and I followed someone who did this race, and I just worked my way up to it. So a little bit about the race. It started in 2018. It's one of those races that's kind of intentionally small. They offer 2 distances, and 300 people do each distance every year. Compare that to like the Barry-Roubaix, which the same organizers put on, but like 5,000 people will do that race. So this one's intentionally small. And so it's a race across Michigan. It's a full race. You race from Lake Huron to Lake Michigan in one day. And you're supposed to have a rescue vehicle because, it's really unsupported. And I didn't really have that. I got my buddies to drop me off on the Lake Huron side, and then I have some family on the other side that lives like 45 minutes from the finish line. So I was confident I'd be able to just coast across the state, no problem. And then see what goes. No, I did full. So it starts in a little fishing village off Lake Huron, and only 15% of the route is paved. It goes through gravel roads, single track, double track, fire roads, and snowmobile trails. A lot of the trails are really rutted out because off-road vehicles are driving on them, and it's sand all the way, even the gravel. The gravel's fast rolling, but it's just all the way, it's a lot of sand, and especially in the forest and forest along the coast, the sand is pretty deep. Elevation is 6,500 foot, which really isn't that much when you're spreading it out over 200 miles, but the hills at the end are pretty punishing, just because you're a little run out. It's really nice that it's low traffic. Not a lot of cars want to mess with these roads, but you do have to pay attention because there are some state highway crossings. You go through a lot of cool terrain. It's the most ecologically diverse one-day bike event in the U.S., so it's kind of cool. I'm not really paying attention. It looks like you're on a completely different place. For the prep, I don't really do like structured training. I just ride a lot. I'll do fast rides. I like to take road trips to different states and cities and ride fast, long, but I don't really do structured training. I don't have an indoor trainer, so I just ride my bike a lot. Nutrition, carbs, sugar, caffeine, that seems to be the trick for these things.
You have to put a number on the lock.
On what?
You have to put a number on it, like on a lock. What's your number?
For what?
For your mileage.
For mileage. So like over the last 2 years, I've done like almost 25,000 miles on my bikes, and I drove like 4,000 miles. So if it's raining, if it's snowing, whatever, I ride my bike. I don't like to drive, especially in the city. I think it's a miserable experience to drive a car in the city. So going into this race, the prep for I was really nervous already about this terrain. I've done that distance before, but on pavement, so this is like gnarly terrain too. And then the forecast started getting really awful coming up to it, like severe weather. Are they going to cancel the race? What's going to happen with it? in like I was following in their Facebook group, someone made like a web app that you could put in your expected pace, and it would show you what the weather's going to be on each point of that route. And it was just like thunderstorms, 50-mile-per-hour winds. So I'm like, oh, okay. So the organizers said that, and I was like, there's no lighting at the start, the race goes on. And they also said, pace yourself and hydrate to get the job done. So I just kind of got that mentality, just one pedal stroke at a time, not worried about terrible weather. So you can see the first half of the race, with the speed there. I got it done pretty fast. The first 100 miles were like less than 6 hours. But then the gnarly weather hit, up to 4 inches of rain, just kind of started, the trails just kind of like turned into creeks. And like the water was turning into ponds too. And it just became extremely difficult. Like the rolling resistance a lot higher and stuff like that than like some, dry gravel. And then towards the end of the race, so especially the Manistee Forest, I got super flooded out, and it was up to waist deep puddles sometimes. And you really just had to be like completely white knuckling it, because a lot of these puddles, when it seemed deep, when you drop down, at one point, like I ate shit into a puddle and I was completely submerged in the water. And then like I got out of the water and I was like, okay, that was kind of just like a wake up, like I gotta get to the coast because I don't have a rescue vehicle, there's no car. This is a remote forest, there's no cars, you can get separated for miles, there's no one around. And at that point, you just kind of go primal and just have pulling up to the coast in mind. So after I got out of the forest, it actually seemed pretty clear, but then like looking towards the Lake Michigan, I see the lightning, and I just know I'm coming right into it. And it ended up being a pretty intense lightning storm. I felt terrible for my parents because they were waiting, parked on the beach, watching this massive storm come in, sitting in the storm and knowing like I'm about to go through it. I did have an air tag on my bike, but it stopped. I lost connection until I was like 3 miles from the end. So the course is super sandy, and when you get
None of those components should look like that.
So when you have wet sand, it just clings to everything on the bike. Like there's no avoiding it. Like I couldn't, the derailleur was just like it full of sand. So I was really working between like 3 gears. I didn't even shift into my small chain ring because the chain would drop and jam. So I just stayed in a few gears, which really sucked for the climbing. I mean, you're basically doing this race almost like a single speed.
That's probably why some people run single speed.
Yeah. And a lot of people converted their bikes into single speeds when their derailleurs failed. So like it was a lot of constant mechanicals after the first half. I usually don't like to get off my bike in races like this, but I had 2 hours off the bike dealing with different mechanicals. But yeah, like after the first 100 miles, everyone's brake pads looked like that. So everyone was doing this with no brakes. We were climbing and descending like these massive hills with no brakes. It just, all the sand just kind of acts like sandpaper, and then you're adding tens of thousands of pedal strokes, and it just destroys that.
Next time you do it, are you taking spare brake pads with you?
I did bring spare brake pads, but people that were changing, their pistons were seizing, and all the mechanicals that I dealt with, I just wanted to keep going because, like, I had a flat, and then all the sand would fuse to the valve core when I yanked the pump out and ripped, so I had to inflate the tire 3 times. Like, the sand just made everything super difficult, and I was a little exhausted at the same time. But I mean, this was like this for everyone. So like all along the course, people are just doing like bike triage. Like if your pistons are seized, just take off your rotors. You're not using them anyway. Derailleur destroyed, shorten the chain and convert your bike to a single speed. If your chain is completely destroyed, you'll see this in the video, just push your bike, kick it along the ground. Like people are just doing whatever they could to just keep moving.
You got a Flintstone for another 50 miles.
Yeah, descending was really crazy because you want to maintain speed because you're stuck in the big ring to climb these hills, so you are bombing hills that you normally want to brake check, but you don't have brakes. So it was just kind of like really mentally engaging the entire day. It was a long day, and just white knuckling it for that long was just tiring.
How much did you run in a group and how much did you do solo?
So in the beginning, it was a lot of group, but then once the mechanicals started happening, you lose the group. The fast group beat the last thunderstorm. So the thunderstorm separated a lot of people because there was significant headwind, but it was really solo. You catch random people, you'd yo-yo with people, the same people that have mechanical issues. And yeah, towards like the third checkpoint, a lot of people were dropping. Your bike would either be screwed up, you mentally or physically cracked, or you just didn't want to destroy your bike anymore. So the results, this race, out of its history, this year, the lowest number of people finished the race. 300 people originally registered, 38 people saw the forecast and decided not to start, forfeited their entry fee. 129 people DNF, and I finished 102 out of 133. So the moving time was 14 hours, and you look at the first half, I got back done in 96. And then, but the total time was just over 16 hours, with 2 of that being off the bike, dealing with mechanicals.
If all goes well, me and Jim are going to finish it this year coming up.
I do want another crack at that course. Like, if it's raining, I'm not going to do it, but I want that course in good condition. I'm not destroying that bike. You give me a bike and I'll do it right.
You were bringing your Pokemon mechanic with you. You will be fine.
I'll take that off.
Break down 20 minutes tops. All right. He might carry you the entire way, so
With boss trailers.
Why don't you go?
Oh yeah, my mom was the one who like
I don't do death. I'd be like, oh, this looks like a nice 3-day ride.
So every minute of the race was captured on film, and we're locked the door. We're gonna watch the whole thing. It is vertical.
Where did you film this on?
It was a 360 PM, but I lost the footage after I edited vertical. Still at the beginning, the rain was pretty light.
So how many people were on traditional gravel bikes versus not?
Most gravel, and I did not envy the. I edited this before I did the TED Talk.
Man, with that kind of rain, why get off the bike for it?
You're just trying to find the one spot.
Triathlon.
Yeah,
I mean, we worked on triathlon bikes.
That bike did really well.
I've done a lot of triathlons, but never done
Oh my gosh.
Those that have brakes and that
Yeah, everyone's brakes was bare metal on metal. That's all you have.
What size tires do you run?
Only 45s, and I had 40s on it before the forecast, but I bumped up to 45s. I always wish it around 50. It's cool. Bike triage, you see pass people all the time, and they catch up to you when you're in that spot.
Even when you're on pavement, it looks pretty rough, huh?
Yeah, I mean, even the pavement is kicking up sand.
Where do you get water?
The sky.
So yes, that's another thing. I thought there'd be sag stops, but your support vehicle was also, so I, he really my big thing is to just go to find a church and use their spigots.
Okay.
Except sometimes it's
How many churches did you run into along this route?
Quite a few. There was one gas station on the route, which
So is washing your bike in holy water do anything?
I ran out of water once because I just spraying the sand out of the drive-through.
Did you have that rock stage just drop?
Do you have a GPS?
Yeah, and that would be an amazing bike packing route too. It would be nice to multi-day.
I don't want to do it in a day.
Yeah. 3 would get such a beautiful route, and there's going to be more on it, especially fantasy.
Anybody got any more questions for Jim before we have a pause?
What bike did you ruin for that?
So I use my Giant Revolt, and I like underbiking. I mean, yeah, I ran definitely narrower tires than I would have wanted, but it was interesting. I did not envy the fat bikes at the beginning, but at the end of the race, yeah, they were killing it.
Has your revolt gone back together after that race yet?
It has, yeah, I still feel a little sand in the headset there, but.
You should sell it.
Oh, from that race, sand just got everywhere. Like it was just still dealing with it, so my
I
gear.
don't know if I want to ruin like that. Somebody.
Thank you, Jim.